Okay, good afternoon everybody. Welcome to our event registration management webcast today. What we'll be looking at today is some elements of event registration management. Once you've set up your event, you have it on your website ready to go for your members to register. What happens then? So what we'll look at is some of the registration scenarios you might come across, some common ones that we come across here at Association Online, such as you administrators requiring to create manual registrations. Cancellations are always occurring, and how can you manage those cancellations? We'll also look at how you can manage event refunds as well, which is a very common question too. Once we've looked at the registration section, the second half of today's session will be looking at the event admin. What needs to happen in the system before you run the event, often the day before or the day of, such as applying seating, allocations, name tags, exporting data from the system into a spreadsheet, sending out reminder emails. And then what happens after the event has occurred? There's a couple of little tasks you need to do once the event's occurred in the system as well, such as marking off attendance and the opportunity to send manually triggered feedback emails as well. So there's a little bit to cover today. So we will start with that managing registrations. So what we want to do today is when registrations are open for an event, what kinds of scenarios might you come across? So they could be things such as managing manual registrations, managing your group bookings is a common one as well, managing those cancellations and the refunds. So we'll start with manual registrations. Why are we doing manual registrations? Often, you have a system where users can register themselves via your website. They can make payment, get an automated email confirming their registration and invoice. As administrators, you shouldn't have to do anything then, should you? But it doesn't always work out like that. We wish. So you still get those people that say this little, it's easier if you just register for me, and they want you to do their registration. And it could be for a variety of reasons. Could be they're not internet users. We do have some people out in the world that still aren't comfortable with using websites. So that does happen. They could be a VIP guest that, or a guest speaker that they just want you to register them for on their behalf. There could be a special price that you need to apply for the booking, or it could be a cancellation replacement. So you do need to do that one manually. So how do we create a manual registration? Now this is going to be, I'm going to the back end of my system. This is relevant for those who are new to the system. Some of you may have done this in the past. So I'm just going to go into my events module in the back end and open up an event and do a manual registration. So let's say we want to register, I'm going to use training workshop 4 today. Okay. When you open up the event, we can go to the registrations tab and we can see a list of registrants underneath already listed here. So if someone does need you to register on their behalf, you can come into the registrations tab within the event and click on add an individual. Up the top, it asks you first, select a reason for a manual registration. These reasons are managed in the setup under manual registration reasons. So you can edit these reasons in here already, or add more or delete them as well. So this is an actual optional feature or optional requirement. You don't have to use manual registration reasons. It's up to you. It's a great way to record, why people are getting you to do their registrations on their behalf. Okay. So in this case, I might say, oh, it's, a VIP. We've got a guest speaker, so I'm going to do their registration for them. Underneath that, we have a new user form field. So this is our event registration form, and it's saying it defaults to new user straight away. But what I prefer you to do is click on existing user first and see if they're already in your database. They might already be there. So we don't want to have to reinvent the wheel and add oh look, Wonder Woman's got 2 profiles anyway. I didn't want to create another one. Okay, if they're not displaying in the existing user dropdown, then you can go to new user, fill in the registration form, and they will then be added to your database. Okay. So now it's dropped, when I put in Wonder Woman's details, it's actually brought up, pre-populated her information in the existing event fields. I might say she'd like to purchase the training manual as well. And we can click on add registration. So what that's done, that's added Wonder Woman's registration to the registration list, but we haven't gone through the shopping cart to create payment. Now, I know some of you will already know how to do this, but I did get asked this question from an existing client just last week, actually. How do I go in and create the order, an invoice, and send them an invoice when I've registered them in the back end? So we can see Wonder Woman's now displaying in the registration list. The status is showing as complete. There's the registration date, but there's no order number. So we know that hasn't gone through and created an invoice. So I'll click on Wonder Woman's name, and it opens up her registration form with some information at the top saying, okay, she is now owing us $50 for the registration, but a total of $75 because she added the training manual, which was a $25 cost. No payment has been made for this manual registration, so do you want to make payment now? If you click on the Make Payment Now button, it will take me to the payment gateway through the back end. So it's very similar to the front where you'll go through and choose your payment method, billing details, and so on, but we're doing it in the back end of the system. Okay, and I'll just go through and say, yep, I'm happy with those billing details and complete the order. And what that's done, that will send Wonder Woman an email with the invoice attached for the $75. And it's added her to the registration list with the order number. So let me go back into that registration list and we'll see that information there. Okay, order number 223. So that's how you add an individual registration in the back end manually. So what about group registrations? Some reasons that you might need to create a group registration as a manual registration through the back end rather than the front end, there's a couple of reasons you might do that. When someone makes a group booking on the website, on your system, they have to know everyone's details to be able to complete the group. So in order for them to make payment, they need to know who the real people are within the group, pop in the correct details, and then the system knows what relevant price to apply if they're a member or non-member, or so on. However, if you make a group booking in the back end, you can offer bookings with those who don't always have the names of registrants yet. Some of you may get that sometimes people say, oh, look, I want to book 3 people from my company, but I'm not sure which 3 people are coming yet. Can we just reserve those seats? Some people may say, no, you cannot do that. We like to know who's coming. Otherwise, there's a risk of non-attendance. And we're reserving seats for people that may not show up. That's up to you. But this is a way you can do it. You can manually create group registration to reserve seats without names or payment. Let me show you how that works. I'm going to go back into my registrations list. So before we clicked on add individual to create an individual registration, now I'm going to add a group. Okay. First thing it asks me, it says how many registrations are needed for this group. I might just say 2. We've got 2 people coming. And this information is relating to the group manager. So the group manager could be a new user, could be an existing user, could be the person that's just making the booking but not actually coming to the event. It's up to the group manager in that case. So I'm going to find a group. I think Durham's online. Durham, I'm making you the group manager for this booking, and click on add group. Then it brings up, when you click on add group, it brings up some group details. For starters, we have the manager's details at the top. Okay. It allows us, there's a button here that will let us add the manager to the group. So we're saying, yep, Durham's the group manager, but he's also going to come to the event. So I'm going to click on add manager to the group. When I clicked on that, it brought up his details for the registration and even an option to make payment now, as well as a reason for manual registration. So this one is group booking. So I'm just going to fill in the registration form. What's Durham? Durham, you can be gluten-free today, and save. So you can actually save the booking without making payment just yet. Okay, you don't have to make payment now. You can click on save, and then underneath that you'll see there is an option under group payments needed to make payment. So it's saying at the moment we've got one registration fee of $50. Down below that, we have the number of group members. It's saying we've got 3 group members. You can add more here. And you can see the list of the group members. So we're actually holding 3 spaces for this group, with 1 person whose name we know is the group manager, and 2 people who are anonymous. They'll display in the group list as anonymous attendees, anonymous registrants, I suppose. To add someone as an anonymous person, or they actually start out as anonymous, but you're going to add them to the registration, you can click on Update Registration Details. Okay, and we'll look for another existing user. I might add myself to this one. Okay, add registration. Beautiful. So now we've got 2 registration fees in here. They are different costs because one might be a member and one's not a member. So the system's applying the relevant price based on our settings. So I could make payment now. Make payment. Go through the payment gateway, and it will send Durham. Sorry, Durham, you're going to get inundated with emails this afternoon. It will send him an email with the invoice attached. Okay, so they can say, look, we'll make payment for the 2 people. We'll let you know later when we know the last person's name and details. Okay, we can see that there's someone in there that we don't know. You can click back into the group booking. So where it says group registered by, you can see the group booking has a box around it. Okay, you can edit it. You know, there's a little edit button with the 2 little people in the top right-hand corner there. And you can go back in and either cancel the group, see no more payments owing, or add more people. Okay. So that shows you how you can be quite flexible with group bookings in the back end of the system, more so than the users can in the front end. Okay, so if you want to do that for your members and offer them, you know, options to reserve seats without knowing who the people are yet, that's the way you can manage it. Okay, so another scenario we get on a regular basis is how to cancel a registration. What happens if someone can't make it to the event and they contact you to cancel their booking? What do you do? Let's do that. Let's say I'm going to use Iron Man. Oh no, we'll say Wonder Woman because I added the training manual for her. Wonder Woman can't make it now. She's called up. Sorry, I've got important world-saving business to attend to. I cannot make this training workshop. Can you cancel me? So I'm going to click in Wonder Woman's name, scroll to the bottom and click on cancel registration. Okay, so there's a cancel registration button that takes you to a cancel screen. Our cancellation options tells us that the amount refundable is $75 and she paid via direct deposit. Then we have the refund method. So there's some options here. Do we say, no, don't cancel this registration is a default. There's a little grayed out option in here saying refund through gateway. If Wonder Woman had paid on her credit card, this is a really handy tool to use. If she paid on her credit card and your gateway, my gateway is not live because I'm in a training mode, so you can't see it. But if she paid by credit card, you could choose that option and a refund straight through your Secure Pay, eWay, whatever gateway you use, that will go back onto her credit card. Okay, so that's the quick and easy way to do it. But obviously Wonder Woman paid via direct deposit, so we need to refund her manually. Then how much are we going to refund? We're saying no refund, just cancel the booking. Or do we want to give a full refund? Or there's an even better option, refund individual items. So this is very dependent on your refund policy. Every association has a different refund policy based on in regards to your events. So whatever your refund policy might be, you choose the options here to identify how much needs to be refunded to Wonder Woman. So she has two lines here, two items. She has the registration fee and the training manual. So you can say, oh, yep, we will refund the registration fee, either a percentage, fixed amount, or fully refund. If your refund policy is, okay, we keep 20% for admin purposes, you can say, we're going to refund you 80% of that. Or, I might say, we're not going to refund the training manual, you can still have it. You can still pay for it and keep it. So let's cancel. When you click on cancel registration, it brings up a pop-up box to say you're about to partially, it tells you what you're doing. So it's like a confirmation. Check the results here. So you're about to partially refund this registration manually for the amount of $40. Is that, do you wish to continue? Basically, is that correct? So yes, and now Wonder Woman has been removed from the list and we've applied that refund, which I'll show you where that goes in a moment. If you choose not to refund any money, if you just need to, or they haven't actually paid, they haven't got an order against their name, you can just select their registration and the rubbish bin at the top of the list. Okay, it says this action will delete the checked registrations from the event. No money will be refunded. Are you sure? Say yes. I'm sure that person is not coming. I want to delete them. They don't have an order. There's not even a name against their booking. Let's remove it. So I will come back to the refund shortly because I know lots of people have questions about that. But before I do, another scenario that we come across a lot is when people say, well, how do I replace a registration? So someone's cancelling, but they want someone to take their spot. What do I do? Like, for example, Jane Doe calls, I can't make it now, but my colleague John can. Can you just change my registration, please? Well, no, you can't actually change an existing registration because if you go and change Jane's details to John's details in the registration form, it will change her database profile, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so what you will need to do is to follow these steps. 1, delete or cancel the current registration. So either of those options I just showed you. 2, add a new manual registration for John. So delete Jane, add John in to the event. 3, if the order is the same amount, you could add a note to the order. Just say, this is actually John's order. He's replacing Jane at this event. Or if that's not suitable for the client, or sorry, the member, if the order and invoice does need to be changed, you can cancel the original one and create a new one. Let me show you how that works. It's easier when you can see it in practice. We're going to say Iron Man. He calls up, I can't make this event. The Hulk's going to take my place instead. Can you cancel my registration and replace him with the Hulk? So what I would do in that case, so I'll just make a note, Iron Man is order number 222. That's an easy one to remember. I could just delete his registration. I'll just delete him from there. And I'm going to add, let's see actually if he's in my system, the Hulk, yes. There we go. And lots of food, his dietary requirements. And we'll add his registration. Okay, but the Hulk doesn't have an order number against his booking. So that's where you have those two options. You can go into the commerce module. I'm just going to open that in another tab and find order number 222, which is right here. Okay, so he paid $30, Iron Man. I could add a note. There's a little note icon and we could go and add a note to the order and say, Iron Man can't make the event, so the Hulk will replace him. Okay. Now that won't suit everybody, so what could we do instead? What we can do instead, if we do need to create a new order, and a new invoice for the Hulk instead is to cancel Iron Man's order. Okay, so we can select it, go to the status icon and cancel his order. Say, look, that one's not relevant anymore. We're going to create a new one for the Hulk. Okay. And just like we did earlier, when you go into a manually create a registration, you click on his name and click on Make Payment Now button. Okay, select the payment method and submit the order. And that will then create a new order in Commerce, and you've removed the old one. So that's covered there. I know a lot of you might have some other scenarios and some other questions around that, more specific details, because I know you do get those really tricky ones sometimes where people are like, oh, I have to replace this person, but they don't want to order this, or that they're at a different cost, so therefore you might need to do some more manual workarounds in that case. But that's a good indication or a way to start the basic process of doing a registration replacement. And then we get to the part where you manage your refunds. How do we do that? So the Association Online system doesn't automatically apply a refund except if they pay on their credit card through the gateway, and you choose that cancellation option in the registration list. That's how you can apply a refund straight back to their credit card. However, it's not always available because some people do still pay via direct deposit or check. Okay. And you might still need to do some partial refunds as well. So if a user does do that, what should we do? Let's go and have a look at that option again. So just because this is a common occurrence, I'm going to, let's say the Hulk cancels. He can't make it now. Let's cancel his booking. And we're going to refund manually and offer him a full refund. We'll just say, we'll give him the $55 back. Okay. What happens with that? Let's have a look in the commerce section again. Okay, because events and commerce are very linked. Now we can see the Hulk's booking it. Actually, I'll just mark it as payment received to say that he paid. Let's say he paid us. Make it correct. He paid us, but now he can't make it. We've cancelled his booking and we're offering him a full refund. You can see now in the order list, his actual order has a purple box. If you see those, that's what it means. They're actually, if you look at the statuses, that's a refund status. But we've still got to pay him back. The other place you can find information about events refunds is under orders and invoicing. In the submenu on the left, there's an events refund list section. Okay, so here's a full list of all of the refunds I've needed to apply for the events module. It also tells you the amount that you're refunding. So I've got 2 here for the Hulk for order number 225. You can see that it's the registration fee and the training manual. Okay, we're refunding both. Some of them might be a partial refund. So if you had applied a partial refund like we did for Wonder Woman, that was a $40 refund. But in the order list, it will still say $50. So you're saying here, no, look, here's the exact amount we are supposed to refund. This is where you'll find it. You can also export the refund list into a spreadsheet as well. Keep a record of it, see how you're going with it. Now, it's not up to how you manage your event refunds through this Association Online system or your accounting system is actually up to you. It's up to your bookkeepers, yourselves, your finance administrators to organise their own system. Okay, Association Online is not an accounting system. It is just a day-to-day management of your orders. But if you do use Association Online to do, your monthly balance and balance out your bank statements, I'll give you a little tip. This is one of my little tips. We're going to use Wonder Woman's example. So Wonder Woman, let's just mark her off as payment received. Let's say we received her money via direct deposit. Now, because she's a partial refund, the box around her order doesn't display in purple. It still shows as unprocessed because it's only a partial refund, which will then hint to you to say, okay, we need to see how much I need to pay her back. Let's go to the events refund list and see what it is. So you can see Wonder Woman paid us $75. But in the events refund list, we're paying her back $40. Sorry, I clicked in that. So there's going to be a discrepancy somewhere. So if I get to the end of the month and I'm doing my reconciliation with my bank statement and I go, hey, there's like $40 missing. Where's that $40? How do I know where that's gone? One thing I often do, or I would do, is to create a manual order. So click on the plus sign, create a manual order under the name of Wonder Woman. So for Wonder Woman, I'm going to create a manual order and I'm going to call it an event refund. You can actually put negative amounts in the system. So I'm saying, okay, we're going to be a negative $40 here. I'm not going to email that receipt to Wonder Woman. So I'm just going to deselect that box. I'm not going to email it to her, but I'm going to use this for an admin purpose only. Okay, and mark it as payment. Say, okay, we've actually put that money back in her bank account. I'm going to mark it as payment received. She's received our $40 back. And what that means is that when you come to the end of month reconciliation time, you're going to find that it's going to add up against your bank account because you've taken that $40 out to pay her back. That is just a tip, so reminder, that is my recommendation on how you could manage it. You may have your own system, or your accountant, bank bookkeeper may have their own system. But this is just a way that you could potentially do it if you're unsure, haven't set up a system already. Okay, so that's managing refunds. So that's some of the I guess scenarios that you might come across and how to manage some of those registrations and cancellations. Now we're going to move into the pre-event admin. What do we need to do before an event occurs? This often happens on the day of the event or hopefully the day before if you have time. And that could be things such as allocating seating if it's required, printing out name tags, printing out the attendance list to take with you, exporting the data into a spreadsheet so you know who's attending what, where, who's got dietary requirements, and sending those reminder emails that are manually triggered. So we're going to go through each one of those. Some of you, again, may have done this multiple times, but you might pick up some little tips today as well. Let's start with seating. Not too many of associations that I've worked with have used this a lot, but they often have, it can be very much used for things like awards dinners where you have to have table allocations. I've seen it used before for workshops, you know, where you might assign certain groups of people into certain workshops. So let's have a look at how we can apply some seating if you do decide to use it. Some of you may not have known that that was an option either. Let's get out of commerce now. We're not dealing with that anymore. So in order to apply seating, what we have to have done first is selected the right venue. So the venue with the seating allocations. This is pulled from the location section. So in each details tab under your event tab, there is a location field. And this is how your seating is managed. Okay, I'm just going to go into the setup area and show you briefly. So under setup, we have locations. Any venues or locations that you have for your events need to be added here first before you can choose them for that event, as well as your seating groups if relevant. So you can see in my locations list, I've got a Hilton Hotel Melbourne where I've got no seating groups. So that means it's just free seating. Anyone can sit wherever they like. Or I also have Hilton Hotel Melbourne that has 4 groups of total seats of 20. So if we look at that one, there's my groups and they're labeled group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and they're my seats. So you've got 5 seats per group. Okay, so that's how you can label your tables as well. You can table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, name them whatever you want them to be. Apply how many seats per table, per group, etc. So that when you go into your event and you're going to the location field, you've got drop-down lists and you can see if they are, you know, the Hilton with no seats in 0 groups, so you're going, yep, it's free seating this event. Free seating, so 0 seats in 0 groups. Or do I want to apply seating? Select the relevant one. Okay. And only once that's done will you then be able to go to the seating tab and then apply your seating allocation. So you can see in my seating tab now we have a list of registrants on the left-hand side and the groups that we created in the location field on the right. Workshop 1, 2, 3, 4. So the list of registrants on the left, you can actually see them also allocated into groups, so by colour. So the individuals are in grey and then the groups are coloured. Each group will be a different colour. Now you can auto allocate. You know, if you decide, I just don't care where they sit, just put them somewhere, ask the system to do it for you. It will auto allocate your groups together. Okay, if you have a group of 10 that were booked together, and the system will apply it to the next seating group. So it would, you know, they go into workshop 1 and 2. Okay, or if you don't like that, there is a revert button at the bottom. Okay, no, I don't like that seating group, that seating allocation. I want to go back to scratch. Let's try that again. And you can click and drag individuals or groups together. So if I click on the little group icon, so there's a group icon in the group or an individual icon, and you can click and drag them across. Okay, click and drag. Beautiful. When you're happy with your seating allocation, click on Save Seating Allocation and go back to your Registrations tab. Click on Print Seating. Okay, it brings it up in a PDF form and you can see, look, here's our seating for Adelaide Convention Centre. Workshop 1 is these people and they're their seat numbers. Workshop 2, Workshop 3, Workshop 4. So you can print that out, put it up somewhere, have it for the administrators at the event, whatever you need to do. Beautiful. Another administrative function you may need to do is to print out the name tags. So how do we do that? At the moment, you can see in my registration list, there's a grayed out box above the registration saying print name tags. The reason it's grayed out is because I haven't selected a name tag to apply to this event. The name tags are set up, and I'm not going to go through the detailed how to set up a name tag. I'm going to send you towards our training manual when that's updated. It's almost finished on how to create your name tags. But you can have multiple name tags in your setup. Okay, so under setup, we've got name tags. You can have as many as you need to. You can copy them. So that's quite handy if you've got a similar name tag, you know, layout that you want. If I look at this one, for example, training name tag. Okay, this is my layout. You have a bunch of placeholders from the event and the contact details on the right-hand side that you can insert into your name tag. So it depends what you want to display on your name tag there. You can change the font size, the size of the boxes, the text boxes. You can add more. You can change the color of the text, the color of the background. So company name, it's a really bright background color. I might change it. That's better. Okay, and then you've got, you know, other text boxes as well that might have other placeholders. Now for this particular one, I get asked this question every training session I do for events. How do I add an image to my name tag? This is my recommendation. Use the event list image placeholder. And I'll show you where that comes from in a moment. So look, I like that name tag. I want to add that to my event to be able to print out my name tags here. So I'm going to go to the Details Event tab, and here's my name tag field. So I can choose which name tag I want to add. And I'll save. Now my image that I added to the name tag oh, I haven't got an image in here yet. It's under the Images tab, and I use the placeholder for Event List Image. So whatever I put in here is going to display on my name tag. Okay, so I'm going to deselect none, and I've got an image that I've already prepared. There we go. I'm just going to put my logo in there. So that's a lot of questions get asked, how do I add our logo on the name tag? This is my recommendation. There is a name tag background. So some of you are probably going, hang on a minute, there's a name tag background image field here as well. Now, you can use that, but it does take up the whole background of the name tag. So if you have an image like mine, which has a lot of text and color in it, it's going to make it very difficult to see the details. So if you've got an image with your logo in the corner and the rest of it's blank, there's like just a rectangle image, it's logo in the corner, rest of it's blank, so you can put your placeholders in, that will work in there. You just have to be very specific with your sizing. Okay, so that's why I recommended using that list image placeholder and putting it in there instead. Beautiful. So now if I go to the registrations tab, you can see there's a button print name tag. So I'm going to open that up. Okay, that's just going to display on my other screen. Bear with me. Just bring that down here. Here we go. So there's my name tags. Big Bird didn't have a company name, which is why it's blank. But there you go. Okay, so that's how you will print your name tags. What else do we do before the event is print out our attendance sheet. So that's really simple. I'll just go back to my list here. Under the attendance tab, there is a blank attendance sheet PDF link at the top. So you just click on that and it will open up your attendance sheet. There we go. Okay, so it's in order. It puts it in order of the last name in alphabetical order. Okay, the first one is blank because we have an anonymous registrant in there. We have someone that doesn't have a name against him yet. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here. Beautiful. Attendance sheet, easy. What else we can do is export the data. We want to know who's buying the training manual, where so-and-so is sitting, and who's got dietary requirements, because we need to send that message to the venue to let them know for catering purposes, for example. So we can also go to the registration tab and export. There's an export button here, okay, at the top of the list. When you click on that, you get a list of fields on the right-hand side that you can select from. So what fields do you want to export into your spreadsheet? Because you may not want all of them, you just want to know. So I'll control and click to choose my fields. I want to know first name, last name, company name, dietary requirements, who's purchasing the manual, and price. That's a good one. I want to know how much they've paid or going to pay. There's seating group and seat number as well. I like those too if you are going to use seating options. And another one that you can export here is manual registration reason. So that's how you can also see, why have we registered all these people manually? For some of you may not know of this new feature. It was created about 6 months ago. There's an include summary row field here that you can select, which what it will do is any numeric fields you have in there, such as a price field with numbers in it, it will total the amount for you automatically. Okay, let's have a look at that in a moment. What I forgot to do, it's not going to pull out any information if I don't click the add button at the top, and then it will add the fields into my left-hand column, saying, okay, these are the fields you're pulling out of the system. Yes, I like that. Let's export it as an Excel spreadsheet. Beautiful. Okay, so these are my details. So we've got a list of dietary requirements, who wants to purchase the manual. There's my costs, and you can see the total summary at the bottom. It's added all of these prices up for me. Okay, why have we booked them manually? What group, where are they sitting? Okay. So whatever you want to do with that, you can manipulate that data as you need to using the spreadsheet, move it around, send it to the venue, print it out. It can be used as an attendance list as well, other than that attendance sheet also. Beautiful. And the last thing we'll do before we, it's up to you if you want to do it. It's actually an optional feature that we might do before we send it off is manually trigger reminder emails. So there are about 28 emails in the events module to potentially use. You know, you may not use all of them. Most of them are automatically triggered, so based on the user activity. So whether they've registered themselves or registered a group, you know, they'll receive an email to say thank you for your registration. But there are 3 manually triggered emails in the system. Why do we use these reminder emails? This can be sent before the event occurs. And it could be you've got updated information about the event, an updated agenda, new program. Could just be to say, well, don't forget you have an event next week, tomorrow, whenever you want. Or there could be changes. Oh, we've had a different keynote speaker. You know, here's the new details about our event. Or go here, don't forget to park here. So how do we send those reminder emails? So within each event, there are default emails in the setup area, but each event also has its own emails tab right at the end. And all of the emails displayed in the list, you'll be able to identify if they are a default email or if they've been modified to be a customized email for this event. Now, I'm not going to go through how to do your emails and what each email does. That's a separate session in itself. But what I will show you is the reminder emails that are sitting here. Okay, that's what we're looking at right now. So these 5 emails: registration reminder, individual, group manager, table manager, group member, table member. These are all manually triggered with one button. So all you need to do is customize your email to tell them, you know, what you said, you know, what information you need to give them. Then scrolling down the bottom of the email list, there is a registration reminder email section and one orange button to say send those reminder emails. I'm going to click on it because we're all fake people, so it's okay. Doran's not fake, but he'll get an email anyway. So we've got our list of who received those emails. The group managers and the individuals. Because they were the ones we had turned on. I think we had the group members disabled, so they won't receive it. You can send that email as many times as you want. You can send it again, so you've had more people register since, you can send it again. Click on the orange button. Or you've had another change. Something else has changed in the event. You can include users who've already received it and send it back again to everybody. Okay, so you can send it as many times. Obviously, you may not want to inundate your members with emails in their inbox, but you may have a reason to send that email. Okay, so that's the pre-event admin. Now we've held our event, we're ready to do our post-event admin. What do we need to do after the event's occurred? First thing we do is mark off attendance, and the second thing we do, which is optional as well, is send feedback emails. When we mark off attendance, it can only be marked once the event is in the past. Okay, once it's happened, then you can mark off the event. Let's have a look at that in the back end. So we go to the attendance tab. Okay, you see in my attendance tab for training workshop 4, it says the event is upcoming. I can't mark off attendance yet. It's not here. If it's the day of the event, it'll say the event is in progress. Okay, but once it's in the past, then we can go to the, I'll just go to a different event to show you that training workshop 2. That's not what I wanted. Let's see if I've done this one. Okay, I haven't marked attendance for this one. So with this particular event, I can change all unknown. Everyone sits at a default of unknown attendance to start with. I can change all unknown to yes. Okay, which is quite the easiest way to do it, I think. What it will do then is it will apply an attendance date. So what date did they attend? So you can change the date for all of them, or you can go into individual ones and change it if need be. But it basically will The system will generate the date based on the last date in the event periods. Okay, and it will mark them all as yes. And then you could manually go and change the relevant ones to no. So you see when I click no, it removes the attendance date. Once you've been able to mark off attendance, then you can send the feedback emails. So there are 2 emails in the system that another 2 emails that are manually triggered. They can only be sent once attendance has been marked. Okay, they're not going to be available until then, which makes sense. So we can send a user attended event feedback email. So for those that did attend, we can have a separate email to say, thanks for attending. It was great to see you. Click here to fill in our survey. Here's a link to the PowerPoint presentation. Or you've got send user did not attend event feedback email. Sorry we missed you. Hope you will see you at the next one. Here's a link to the presentation that you missed anyway. Okay. So to do that, again, we go back to the emails tab. Under user, there's a user feedback section, user attended event and user did not attend event. And you can customize those emails, scroll to the bottom and click on the orange buttons for whichever ones you want to send. Okay, so one button will send 3 emails, for example, or 500 if you've got 500 attendees. Okay, so that's everything I really wanted to show you technically. There's a couple of other things I want to discuss about some optional features you may or may not know about in the events module. One of them is the event certificates, a question that comes up sometimes, and some of you may be already using these, where you can apply, we can generate a certificate based on event attendance. Okay. Now, in order to get an event certificate, there is an additional cost because we do have to template your design into a certificate format. Once it is done, we will show you how to set those up. We have event suites, which can apply multiple events together into one suite of events, where you can apply one cost for a group of events. So that's an option there as well. And that is free. If you don't have it and you want to know more about it, I'll show you where to find information shortly. But you can just ask the support team to install it for you. And we also have Moodle integration. So if those of you that use the e-learning tool of Moodle, we can integrate with Association Online and have people sign through the events module to get to their Moodle site and do their e-learning and mark off attendance in Association Online. So I'm not going to explain that into too much detail. We're going to actually have a webcast specifically on Moodle early next year. So we'll talk about that then. But if you want to know more information now, I'll show you in the support center under standard modules events. You will find information about each of these add-ons as well. So if you want to know more, contact support to organize a quote or have the feature installed if you want. So that's if I'll show you in the back end, I'll go to my little life buoy up the top and open up the support center. Okay. It's under standard modules. So events is a standard module of the system. We'll go to events. Okay, and there's events optional features. So there are pages of content and information, event certificates and event suites. There is a training manual that's recently been updated for each of those as well. Okay, so have a look through those if you have any questions about that. So what have we learned today? What did we do today? We went through manual registrations, how to create them, and group registrations in the back end, how to manage your cancellations and cancellation replacements, how to apply seating, allocations, name tags, send out those manually triggered emails, exporting data, and we did a bit on refunds as well. Before I go to questions, our next webcast will be in 2018. We have a vouchers overview, so we have a vouchers module. So if you want to know how that works and are interested to see how you can apply promotions and discounts to your system or to individuals, come along to that one. And on the 27th of Feb, we're going to look at membership reporting. So it's, again, another one of those that comes up regularly where people are like, I want to pull out a report that says this, this, and this. and that's it. How do I do it? So I'm going to give you some examples of reports that you can pull out of the system on your membership data. So before I do go to questions, I want to thank you all for attending today. I hope to see you at our next webcast. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. Yeah, so that's everything. Thanks, Marla. I'll hand back to Marla to field the questions now.